Well, yesterday, our time, Donald Trump's meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky in Washington turned into, well, a shouting match. They met ostensibly to sign an agreement to give America access to Ukrainian rare earths and oil and gas.
Additionally, the minerals agreement will provide the basis for a more sustainable future relationship between the United States and Ukraine, and thus stimulate the long-term prosperity that will help the Ukrainians rebuild their country. It's been demolished.
Didn't happen, of course, but for Donald Trump, this was a way for the US to be repaid for funding Ukraine's defence. But the public collapse of those talks raises serious questions for not just Ukraine, but also for Russia and the US. But it does show the strategic importance of rare earths needed in many areas, such as defence, aerospace, computer chips and robotic applications. China now easily is America's biggest supplier, the world's biggest supplier of those rare earths. So the tariff war between those countries opens up a potential weakness for the United States and its economy. But Australia also shapes as a major supplier of these minerals. There's Lynas with its plant in Malaysia. It's the world's second biggest supplier. There's Iluka is another. But the Nolans project in the Northern Territory is expected to be Australia's first ore to oxide rare earths processing operation. It's operated by Arafura Resources, and its chief executive, Darryl Cuzzubbo, joins me now from Brisbane. Darryl, many thanks for your time. Let's just take people back to ground one, shall we? And that is rare earths themselves. What exactly are they? I've explained some of the applications. And are they rare or are they not so rare?
Yeah, thank you, Ross, for the opportunity to talk to you. You're exactly right. Rare earths are of fundamental importance. You can't make everyday electronics like your phone, electric vehicles, wind turbines, robotics, and also military applications as well without rare earths. Now, rare earths aren't that uncommon, but in terms of economic deposits, they're quite rare. So the situation that we have at the moment is they're of fundamental importance. Demand is going to double over the next 10 years or so, but nearly 90% of the world's supply comes from China. In fact, the only country that has an independent supply is Japan. So if you're the US, if you're Korea, if you're Europe, your EV sector, your wind turbine sector, electronics, robotics are dependent on China.
So take me then to what Donald Trump has done in Ukraine and how that might affect demand for rare earths from Australia in the future. Or is there simply an unending demand for these types of minerals?
Yeah, so the demand, as I said, is going to double over the next 10 years, maybe even more than that. And then that'll predominantly be driven by electric vehicles. And then robots will drive that even greater demand. What you're seeing is that the US, Europe, they've known about this problem for some time. And what you're seeing with Trump, he's being quite decisive in acting on this issue. What I would say, though, with Ukraine is if you look at the publicly available information on rare earths, it's quite scant and the exploration seems somewhat limited. So it takes typically 18 years to find a mine and take it all the way into commercial production. And if you look at the exploration results, it's really in Ukraine, they're probably at the start of that journey. So this might be a long-term challenge, a long-term solution for the US. But the US, Europe, Korea, etc., they need a short-term to medium-term fix. And that's where Australia comes in. That's where Arafura comes in. So our project, as you mentioned, we're construction ready. Phase 1 will produce 4,500 tonnes. Phase 2 up to 10,000 tonnes, which is about 10 million electric vehicles. And we're at the final step of getting funding. Once we have that funding, we'll be moving into construction. You mentioned ore to oxide, and this is important because a number of rare earths projects don't go all the way to an oxide. The reason we do is because we want to be able to bypass the China supply chain. If you don't go to an oxide, you're still relying on processing capability that currently exists in China today.